Welcome to episode number 339 of Category 5 Technology TV. It's Tuesday, the 11th of March, 2014. So nice to have you here. My name's Robbie Ferguson.
I'm Christa Wells.
I just realized it's not the 11th.
Not the 11th.
It's the 18th. Sorry. 18th. Note to self. It's been one of those nights, folks, and we're just getting going.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of...
Try it again. I'm Robbie.
I think I'm still Christa. Still good.
All right. Good.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we have lots of cool stuff in the news. Let's see what's going on. Coming up in the newsroom, won't it be annoying when your car tells you to start calming down? I'd be a little annoyed. Do you like the convenience of direct deposit paychecks? What would happen if someone stole your banking information from your employer? Bad news. A hoax email has scared thousands of people into thinking they may have cancer.
Oh, dear.
A Netflix-like service for watching movies illegally shared via BitTorrent was to shut down, but now it looks like it cannot be stopped. Despite the continued warnings about security threats following its pending end of life, nearly all bank ATMs are still running Windows XP. Stick around, these stories are coming up later in the show.
Awesome. Tonight I am joined by both Christa Wells and the lovely Hillary Rumball. Hey, Hill.
Surprise! Here I am. It's twice the fun. Right
so tonight we are actually going to be investigating how to use both Adobe Photoshop and the GNU Image Manipulation Program to improve our photos, perfect for sharing on Facebook, a company blog, for example. So don't miss it. So much time and so little to do. Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it. And thank you. It's going to be a great show. Don't go anywhere.
This is Category 5 Technology TV. Starring Sasha Dermatis, Hillary Rumball, Christa Wells, Eric Kidd, and your host, Robbie Ferguson.
This is Category 5 Technology TV. So great having you here. You notice that we've all got our swell Category 5 Technology TV t-shirts on tonight. You can pick those up at shop.category5.tv. Really would love to have you order some t-shirts this week. Reason is we've got a minimum order quantity that we have to get from our manufacturers. We do small runs with our manufacturer. These are nicely done shirts, very good quality, and you're going to love them. But of course, because we have to meet that minimum, we need more orders in order to place our orders this week. So get on over to shop.category5.tv, and we'd love to see your orders this week so that we can get those in next weekend. And really excited to be sending some t-shirts your way as soon as they're printed as well. Shop.category5.tv. Exciting news, something that that Christa and I have been working on is the Roku channel. I think, Hillary, we've talked about it as well. The fact that Category 5 Technology TV is about to come to the Roku device. And that, of course, is a set-top box. Looks kind of like this. Here's the box from it. There you go. Roku 2. You can actually watch Category 5 Technology TV on that device as of April 8th. So we are officially 3 weeks away from that. I've been working on the coding end of things and making sure everything works and testing away on our screen here. Jot from our Category 5 viewer community has been instrumental in making sure that all those old episodes that have never been released on our website are now going to be a part of the Roku channel. So awesome, you're going to actually have access to old episodes of Category 5 Technology TV as well as every new episode moving forward. And of course, Christa Wells, our graphic designer, our resident graphic designer, doing up really nice graphics so that our channel stands out in the Roku Channel Store.
We're trying to make it
look the arrangement,
pretty.
Right? Yeah, it's going to look good. It's going to be great. So that's Category 5 Technology TV. This show that you're watching right now coming to Roku on April 8th. And I'll just let you know, as a partner with Amazon, I'd encourage you to go over to cat5.tv/Roku, and it's spelled ROKU. And if you haven't already got the device, you've got 3 weeks until our channel launches. So pick one up now, cat5.tv/Roku, and you'll be able to actually purchase one of those devices. There are 4 different models to choose from, so they vary in price, and that will get you all set up, and you'll have it in time for our show launch. And you'll be supporting the show indirectly as well, because a portion of your purchase, if it's done through that link, cat5.tv/Roku, will actually go toward the show as well.
I like it.
Go.
Category5.tv is a member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. That's that's cat5.tv/TPN, and the International Association of Internet Broadcasters, cat5.tv/IAIB.
Thanks, Christa. If you've got your mobile device handy, grab it. Scan this code. m.cat5.tv is where you want to go on your mobile browser, and that is our official mobile website, and it features things like live video, live streaming audio as well. You can actually listen. So if you're sitting on the train or in the car, you can listen to the show without the distraction of the video. Also, we've got on-demand video there as well. So can't beat it.
So so distracting to watch.
Well,
No?
you don't want... Well, when you're driving, little screen.
You can do both.
People do that.
You
They're
can do
increasing the fines here in Canada because people do it. I sure hope you don't do it, folks. That's crazy.
Please don't.
Okay, so
Exciting stuff.
very excited about tonight's feature because we are going to be taking a look at... I explained this to you, Christa, that we're not doing a Photoshop versus GIMP tutorial.
Yes,
We're not
it's
doing
not a war.
It's not a war between the two products. What we're actually doing is we want to take a look, because Christa is a professional graphic designer, so I kind of was curious as to how you would go about touching up photographs versus how I might do it in the GIMP, and maybe I can translate some of the things that you're doing in Photoshop in the free GNU Image Manipulation Program.
Yeah.
And that benefits everybody, because if what you can do in the commercial application can be done in the free program, we'd like to know about it.
Yeah, why
So,
not?
How good is that? So Hillary joins us tonight. Hey, Hill.
Hello, world. Here I am.
And Hillary, you are involved in an interesting project right now, creating a blog for a business. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what brings you here tonight?
Certainly. So, I will be doing some work for an event planner, wedding coordinator, and doing the blogging and the content, the social media kind of content for them.
Okay.
So I was starting to think and like go through some of their past event photos, some of which are taken on like beautiful cameras, and some of which are taken on like point and shoot cameras. And I'm like, well, how can I post these event blogs when some of the photos look so glorious and others look like, well, there's a picture of our table setup.
Possibly even taken from an iPhone.
Could be.
I think Christa and I understand this because a lot of times we'll have customers come to us with the photos that they've provided, and oh, you mean you can't blow that up onto a billboard? No,
Yeah.
it's 0.3 megapixels. It's not going to happen. So we want to take some of these photos that Hillary you've provided and see what we can do to make them look good, or what's
I
the
want
plan?
them to look awesome. Now, there's like when I've been perusing
No pressure.
other people's sites just to get a little taste for the biz. All these photos, I just call it like the wedding lens. It has this like light, airy feel to it.
That'd be
All the
that
photos.
vignette, eh? The white vignette. Okay.
So like that's the look I'm going for. So when I provided these event photos, whether or not they're taken on a beautiful Canon or a point and shoot, whatever, I want to be able to just do a little bit of touch up so they look a little classier for the blog.
Sure. So first of all, Christa, as a professional graphic designer / web designer and everything that you do, first impressions when somebody comes to you and says, okay, I've got all these pictures that are taken with a mix of, a nice Canon DSLR, but also a lot that are taken with a point and shoot camera. What are your thoughts?
My first impression is I'm up for some really late nights because they're not fun. There's usually a lot of work, and there is only so much you can do with photos.
Right.
If the data isn't there to work with, you can't add data. So, I mean, what you have is kind of what you have to work with. You can try to make them look a little bit prettier, maybe a little bit sharper, maybe change some of the sizes, that kind of stuff. Obviously, change lighting and that kind of thing. But
in wedding photographer, you mentioned getting sharper, but there's even that kind of Gaussian blur kind of effect that will remove sharpness.
Makes it a lot
gives
softer.
it a bit of a Gaussian
absolutely.
kind
You
of
could do
soft
that too.
focus, I guess.
Yeah, there's a place for all that kind of stuff too.
So can we take a look at some of these pictures that Hillary has provided and see what we can do? So you're running what? This is a MacBook.
Yes.
MacBook Pro.
And I don't have the newest version of everything. I honestly haven't found the need for it. Right now I'm running CS5.
Okay. So an older version of
system.
Photoshop.
Yep.
That's fine. Yeah. Not too old. That's a few years, I guess.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with all the updates sometimes. So do you just kind of want to jump into it?
Yeah, let's jump into it. Let's see. And Hillary, you can see our screen there as well. So as we're kind of going through here, if you have any suggestions or thoughts, we'd certainly welcome those.
Sure.
So
okay.
You're good with that?
Yeah. So there are a lot of photos that were supplied here for some of the reasoning, just to show you kind of the points that I wanted to. I did pull a couple other photos.
Okay.
Just because it's easier to show that way.
All right.
But let's open this first one up in Photoshop.
Okay, so this is one of the ones that Hillary has provided.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a handful.
And so I'm going to actually bring this up in GIMP as well on my system running Linux. So this is all free software that I'm running. And I know why you haven't upgraded from CS5. I'll just say it's not free. Not so free. Okay, back to Photoshop.
Right. So here's your photo. This one you can see it was probably taken a little bit of a darker room.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
They used a flash.
I can. I certainly can. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, right.
The flash was used in a dark space at a retro-themed party involving costumes.
Right.
Gotcha.
Which means that your foreground will be lighter, your background is kind of dark, so what the flash is only hitting is your people that are in your foreground. Really heavy shadows.
Yeah, I see the shadows on the hand for sure.
That kind of stuff, unless you want to put in a lot of time, you can't really worry about the shadows. But we'll show you a couple things that we can do. So I've opened this in mine, and what I always do, I always take the original photo or my layer here, and I'm just going to unlock that, because in Photoshop it comes locked. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to relock that, just so that I have a photo if I ever make...
Is that like your backup?
Yeah, some kind of a mistake. I haven't saved over it. I have it there, so I can go back to it.
So on GIMP, what I would do is I'd right-click on the layer and go duplicate layer, and I'd achieve the same thing.
Good stuff. So, and then again, what I would always do is I would do it the non-destructive way. I'm going to show you the other way, just so that you can see where things are in the menu bar. But non-destructive versus destructive, if you edit photos destructively is what it's called. It means that you're doing it directly on the photo. In order to get back or make a back step, you have to undo. Sometimes you can only undo so many times. So non-destructively, you're essentially making all the same changes, but you're doing it in ways where it layers on top of the photo instead. So you can delete a layer. So I'll show you how to do that as well, but I'm going to show you how to do the changes destructively, just so you can see where everything is in the menus.
Cool. Very good.
So what I would probably do first is I would probably mess around with the levels a little bit. Get a contrast. So in Photoshop, you go Image Adjustments, Levels.
And if I may, in GIMP, it will be...
Oh, my apologies. Sorry, I mean curves. I don't want levels right now. Curves.
Oh, we're going to do curves. Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, so there's Photoshop. There's GIMP.
They look pretty similar.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so what you're seeing here... there's a histogram in the background. This is essentially showing you where your darks are in the photo and how strong your lights are in the photo.
Right.
To simply put curves, this here is your dark point. Up here is your whites in the photo. Everything on the top of this triangle is going to be adding lightens your photos. There we go. We can see like that.
Yeah,
everything on the bottom of the triangle is going to darken.
So nice thing about that effect is that you're actually you're working with the RGB, and you're actually increasing the luminescence of all three, red, green, and blue, simultaneously, and you're able to basically create the illusion that you've got more light in the photo than you really do.
Yeah, exactly. You can add a bit more contrast that way too. Yeah. So let's have a look. What you kind of want to do with this, it's really easy to go overboard. So if you're looking at it, you see all these cross sections. Down here is your blacks. These will be your shadows, your midtones, your highlights, and then your pure whites. So if you look at this photo, it's fairly washed out. There's a lot of black. So we're probably going to want to adjust, we'll probably want to pull these whites over just a bit, because you can see in the glove here how gray it is, and you know it's supposed to be white.
So is that adjusting the white balance?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not adding.
And I guess
adding lights to the photo.
I can see in your histogram there that you're in fact lining it up with where the lights start, basically.
Mm-hmm. And this kind of goes back to the levels. We'll hit levels a little later, but it also has to do with the histogram.
Okay.
And essentially, kind of what you want to do is make sure that you're adjusting to the edge of the lights and the edge of the darks.
Okay.
So when there's a lot of blank space, that means it's not reading very high in your lights. It's way oversaturated with the darks. So you just kind of want to balance things out, essentially, is what you're trying to do.
Cool.
You're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing there in GIMP as you're doing. Okay. So there we go.
And then we'll probably want to pull up our highlights just a tad. There we go.
Wonderful.
And maybe pull down our shadows just a touch, because they've come up too. Oh, not that much. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, so if you're happy with that, that's kind of done a general lightening, then we're good with that. Next, you can see there's quite a bit of red still in the photo.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is I would go Image, Adjustment, Selective Color. And what we want to target is the reds. So you can see here in colors it says reds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then I want to pull the magenta out of that just a bit. Yeah, and we'll show you what it does.
Oh yeah, so you've got kind of almost a neon luminescence when you turn off your preview.
Mm-hmm.
You can really see that, almost like fake hair. GIMP is right-click, colors, color balance, and bring it. Now, which way were you going? You're going away from magenta a little bit?
Yours is set up a little different. This one, you're kind of you're switching out one color for the other, whereas in this one, you're just removing a color.
Okay, so maybe I'm in the wrong spot. So while you show us, let me see if I can find what do you call it in
This
Photoshop?
is called selective color.
Selective color. Let's see. No, it's not that.
What about select your primary color to adjust? What does that do?
So primary color
select
red.
Try that.
Okay. And let's bring down the saturation of red.
Maybe. Yeah, that seems to be doing a similar
effect.
thing.
Okay, so the way I got to that is right-click on the image, colors, hue saturation, selected red as my primary color to adjust, and bring down the saturation of the color red. And that does appear to be doing pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so we can do that in GIMP as well, and I'll hit OK.
Good stuff. And then you can also notice this one's kind of a good example of where you have selective areas that are maybe too saturated in one color and not the whole thing. This one looks like maybe this young lady was doing a lot of dancing and she's just a little flushed.
Oh,
so
yes.
I want to select her, just her face there. So I'm in my brush. I just gave her a dot. In my brush here, I'm going to do a larger brush. I'm at 86 points, that's fine. And I want it to be a little bit feathered. I don't want it to have hard edges. So I'm about 14%. And full opacity is fine.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, it's called, select a quick mask. And that pretty much means that I'm just going to paint the areas that I want to select instead of going around and pointing, like selecting it just with little points.
Right.
Just a little faster for a little more natural. Like she's got very smooth lines on her face versus a triangle, right? So I'll just give her a paint.
Okay.
She's a little blue. And then we exit that.
So if I can I do the same over in GIMP? What I would do is I would use my selection tool and hit Control A to select all. and then use the Quick Mask Marquee button down on the bottom left-hand side, or Shift Q, which turns on Quick Mask. Bring up my paintbrush, same thing, so change the size of our paintbrush to something appropriate. Too large. And the featheriness of it. Is that a word?
Yeah,
Choose
sure.
kind of the brush
It
head.
is now.
It is now.
The
We
softness
created
of it.
So I
maybe.
would create the same thing. It's not purple, it's red. There we go. Sort of, right? I'm a little rougher at this than you are. Shift Q and then right click and select inverse. Because remember I started with a select all. Or invert. There we go. So now I've got the same selection as you do.
Good stuff. And then
Awesome.
again, we're just quickly going to go to the selective color, and then just, you see where the little
okay,
marching
yeah.
ants are? In that area where these marching ants are, that's the only place the color is going to be taken out of. Everything else is going to remain the same.
And it's going to be clean because that marquee, in fact, you can't see it, but it has that feathered edge.
Yeah,
that your
exactly. That's why we
marquee
used a
has.
softer brush.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just going to pull a little bit extra magenta out of her face here. It's not a lot, but it's going to make her look...
It makes a big difference, though, doesn't it?
Once we zoom out here. Yeah, she
And I
looks just a little bit more in tune with everyone else's color there.
Right. And I suppose that same kind of effect could be used for teeth whitening.
Absolutely.
kinds of
Yeah,
things.
we're actually going to touch on that later, too. Just a little bit of prettying kind of people up. Yeah, to make
Cool.
can make them look younger, get rid of any of those spots that everybody has, and make your teeth look whiter. All that good stuff.
In GIMP, it's going to be the same as we just did. Colors, hue saturation, select red, bring down her saturation, and there you go. Same deal. Right? There we go. Brilliant.
Good stuff. So if you look at that compared to the original, like I said, there's only so much you can do with a photo, but it is still so much better than what it was before.
Absolutely.
If you wanted to crop it down, I'll show you a quick cropping. What I would do in Photoshop, instead of resizing the image, if I want just a specific section, I would take my crop tool and I size it up here.
Can you show us the crop tool again? Sorry.
Sorry, it's just
Okay,
right
there it
here
is,
in my
yeah.
palette.
Mhm.
And then I would size it up here. Say I knew in my blog that the image widths had to be, let's say, 600 pixels. So I type 600 there, but it doesn't matter what the size is. It's automatically going to size it appropriately.
Is it proportional?
No, see, I can drag it like, so it's vertical or horizontal. Regardless, this is going to be 500 pixels wide. And then it will make the height whatever you've created
Okay.
here.
All right. So let's see it in action then.
So if we just drag it to where we want, it's going to black out everywhere that will get cropped off. So say you're just showing an awesome photo of you and your friends. There we go. And I say, yes, okay. And there we go.
Cool. In GIMP, I actually just use the marquee. I usually start with a Control A, and what I like about the GIMP is that you can actually drag in your marquee, and you can just move the marquee around. This isn't the crop tool. This is just the marquee itself, which is really, really nice. And in fact, you can even do that with, say, a circular marquee. You can, in fact, stretch it, which is a brilliant thing to be able to do. But I see what you're doing is using this crop tool, and GIMP has it as well, but I'm not familiar with it enough. But I see that the settings are pretty much the same as what you've done in Photoshop.
And
so that
with
exists as well.
when you use the marquee, do you actually have to copy and paste it into a new board?
No.
Or does it resize your paste board already?
Well, it's not automatic that way. What I would normally do, I start with the marquee, and then I say, oh, well, I want to make this, so that they're centered perfectly in the photo. I might do it like that, and then I right-click and I go Image, Crop to Selection, and then I get the same kind of effect.
So then it adjusts the board as well.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
And sometimes what I'll then do is I'll say, okay, well, this is going to be printed as a 4x6, say. So I'll do my canvas size, and we see that, I've actually cropped it too short, for example, right? So I might undo that, make my marquee a little bit higher, crop it again in this particular case, go Image, Canvas size, and then switch back to inches so I can go 4x6. But you see what I mean. Obviously, my proportions are a little off. But I can actually set it up so that it's going to fit that. That make sense?
Yeah, very cool. It actually works fairly similar.
There we go. Now I've got 4. 4x6. Perfect. That's what I was going to. And then I can move it around. This is a nice thing about GIMP is you can move around your crop as you're resizing the canvas. There you go. So there's a perfect 4x6. That's what I wanted to get to.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool.
So for me, with a photo that's been taken with flash in such a dark setting, that's probably as much as I would dare to do with that photo. Otherwise, you risk, once you start editing a JPEG too much, you actually start reducing, I think it's the bit depth, which means that you're working with, you don't get, it destroys the photo essentially if you start
it's a
doing too
lossy
much.
medium, right?
Yes, thank you.
So it's like with the old reel-to-reels, kids. When you'd copy and copy and copy, you'd eventually end up with a dub that's really bad quality.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well put.
Cool.
All right, so let's close that one.
While she's opening up the next one, look at the difference again. There's the original, cropped. There's my GIMP version, very similar to what was achieved in Photoshop. Good difference, Hill?
Looks terrific. Very good. I'm learning lots. Keep going, guys.
Okay.
Gotta take it all in.
All right.
What's next?
We're going to mess around with Eric right now.
Oh, well, this could be fun.
There was a great photo that was supplied, but the only problem with it was that the girl's face was too perfect, so I couldn't show you everything that I wanted to show you. So, as much as I know Eric loves me, I'm sure he'd appreciate if we took a few years off.
This will be a sweet profile
we're
pic.
So, here is
Okay.
Mr. Eric. Oh, and you don't have this photo, do you? Would you like it?
What are you going to do? Like, just tap your MacBook to my monitor and it'll just...
I don't know. You could probably
find
do
it.
the same things.
What's the file name?
I couldn't tell you right now.
It'll be on our server here. Ba-da-da.
I'm a jerk and I didn't even think about that.
Okay, will you show us on Photoshop?
You could also
And I promise
try
you can do the
to
same
do
thing
this in
on
one of the
GIMP.
photos that Hillary supplied.
Yeah.
It would just be a different photo.
Okay, well, how about...
But you could
know
also
what?
show the same
You
effects
do
and everything.
You start... This is poorly planned, but very well implemented.
This is my fault.
You start.
Live TV, people.
You start showing, and I'll grab the photo at the same time and get it up in GIMP.
Okay.
How's that? All right?
All
Here we go,
right, so
people.
here's Eric.
Okay, there's Eric.
First step again, I'm going to duplicate the photo and lock it so that I can't ruin that first one. This time, instead of curves, I'm going to show you levels. Sorry, I want to do everything with quick keys. But I realize I need to show you where things are. So we go image, adjustment, levels. So this is the histogram I was talking about earlier. This shows you the balance between darks and lights in your photo, the left being your darks, the right being your lights. So when something is this skewed, it can depend on what kind of photo it is. This here photo looks like it's intended to be in a darker setting, so of course your darks are going to be higher. Up here are your input levels. That means that is darks and lights that you are adding to the photo. Down here are output levels. That means it's darks and lights you are taking out of the photo. That one.
Sorry, I had the camera on you. Down where?
Oh, sorry. Here.
the
So
right
this
hand.
is input.
Okay.
This will be lights and darks you're adding. Down here's output, lights and darks you're
I see.
removing.
I see.
Generally, you don't want to mess with the output unless it's. I would do that more on an outdoor photo.
Okay.
But so input, this is here. You see that our lights kind of start right here, but our starter level's all the way over. So I just want to pull that over just a tiny bit, just to brighten them up. And I want to pull our darks, our blacks down just a bit as well for contrast. So let's say 11. And I'm just going to pull this up a bit. And then I'm going to, this here is your midtones, so it doesn't overall on the photo, doesn't select just your darks or your lights. It'll apply it to the entire thing. So I'm going to pull that just a little bit, lighten it up. There we go. And Eric is also a little bit red in this photo. So I am going to select his face like we did in the last one with your brush.
Same thing exactly. The
Is
marquee
here. Yep.
with
And then
the quick mask.
exactly.
Okay.
It's just kind of the easiest way, or the quickest way for me to show you right now too. You could always take, if you have like a lasso tool, which is like,
Right.
do you have anything like that in GIMP?
Yes, and GIMP, in fact,
Okay, well,
I
maybe we'll
love
do it
the
that
lasso
way.
tool in GIMP because, again, I can readjust the marquee after it's been created.
Right.
So I'm still looking for the photo, folks. But
Okay, well, let's
Krista
see
will
if
show
we
us
can do
on
that
Photoshop here.
real quick. This is
Okay.
the.
So you're doing a marquee.
Here is this one's called the lasso tool.
Okay.
So you find it here. This one's lasso. And sorry, I guess I'm using the polygonal lasso tool.
Okay.
And let's just...
Start tracing, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm just making small points all the way
And
around.
are you holding anything on the keyboard?
I'm not.
Okay.
If I were to... I'll show you. Look, let's say I made a mistake and went halfway up his face here.
Yes.
Then I
Then
would...
what happens
oh,
in Photoshop?
There we go. Then it selects only here, and I go, I want to add this. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key,
Okay,
which
so
makes it an add.
You're going to add a marquee to the existing marquee.
Exactly.
But in Photoshop, you don't have a way to correct the original.
If I were actually to use my pen tool,
Yeah.
that would be exactly what I would
That's
be doing.
vector, is it not? Or is it? Okay.
Let's just quickly select them. It's it's not vector. It's let me just close this and I'll show you the... There we go. So now we have him selected. It would be this tool here, this pen.
Right.
And then I don't really want to push down because then we're going to lose this selection.
Okay, well,
But then you make a
resume
point.
with the marquee, and then...
Sure. Okay, so we've got his face selected. We go to Image, Adjustments, Selective Color. We're going to pull a little bit of magenta out of his face.
Now, because you used the marquee tool there, the polygonal marquee, is there any feathering?
When I created it, there is a Refine Edges option.
Okay.
So that's up to you how soft you want the edges to be. You can create them that way. Because I used this version, no, I didn't set it up while I was demonstrating right there.
Okay.
To have softer edges, and that's something where I probably wouldn't have done this way to select his face, but I wanted to show you that method.
Knowing that now if you change the levels or the saturation with the marquee there unfeathered, it's going to have a bit of a stark edge, almost like a cliff edge. Is there a way for us to feather the edge once the marquee is created, once we realize,
absolutely.
we forgot that step?
So I just got out of that, and still we have this selected here. Up here on this toolbar in Photoshop, there's something called Refine Edges. So you just click on that, and it's going to black out everything that's not selected. And then the feather option is right here. So you can pull that a bit, and you see it just softens the edges.
Eric's floating head. That's
You
cool.
can also smooth it a bit, and it just makes your lines a little less abrupt. We don't need to worry about that right now. But yeah, we'll do the feathering. So it makes it would be like selecting a softer brush.
Nice.
Like that. And then Image, Adjustments, Selective Color. Let's pull a little magenta out of him. He won't mind. There we go. Now, I want to whiten Eric's teeth a little. So I'm going to go back to my trusty... Oh, stop that. It just thinks I'm selected somewhere. There I go, back to my brush. And select Quick Mask. I'll make my brush a little smaller. I'm just going to paint his teeth blue.
That's a good look for him, I must say.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about this.
There we go. And select Inverse to get that section that you wanted.
Do you know the file name there yet, by any chance? Just the file name.
Looking for it?
I found Elizabeth's photo shoot.
We can find out. Eric is
I really want to
way
be able to
down
follow
here.
along on GIMP here because I know a lot of this stuff is
That is image 7171.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
That's easy to
All right.
remember.
So over on, let's get this in GIMP.
Aren't I a big jerk?
7171. Okay. Yeah, way to spring that on me, yo.
I told you beforehand too. I would pull different photos.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
and then
All right.
I,
There we go. There it is in GIMP.
You know,
Look at
being
that.
the jerk I
Okay.
am.
Marquee tool. Okay, zoom in on face. And this is the lasso marquee. What I can do is I can hold in my control key and do that kind of thing, same as you were
Okay.
doing. But see what I can do in GIMP that you can't do in Photoshop, and I'm not, this again is not a Photoshop versus GIMP tutorial, I just want you to know that I see everywhere I click there is still a point that I can now move. So if in your case you accidentally went like that, I can actually say, let's actually fix that, right? Maybe if I finish the marquee, I can fix things a little easier. So if it's like that, and let's say I go outside, I can actually move that. Or if I go out here and you see that I've actually clicked there, I can move that point. It's kind of cool.
That was kind of neat.
So, and if I were to get up here, I'm not sure what that was a pretty cool tool. Where did you go with? See, again, I can
just
move
anywhere
the
that
points.
seems a little red on his face.
Sure. Okay.
You don't have to worry about going around his hair too much because it's not going to pull
Okay.
too much out of there.
All right. So I haven't feathered either. I could have feathered using this feather edges over here.
Sounds like you're doing your hair in the morning.
But what I can do is I can
Nice.
right-click, select, feather, and just tell it how many pixels I want to feather by, which, I might say 25 in this case.
And that's something that'll change too depending on how large the photo you're working with is.
Sure, okay. So let's remove some of the red, just like we learned in the previous photo. Same sort of idea, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, okay. And what was next?
We selected his teeth. Let's
Okay,
whiten
select his teeth. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, so
Cool.
his teeth are selected here on my end. And again, we're using that. I should say there are so many ways to do these. But if you're looking to do all these quick and easy for your blog, it's best just to stick with one method.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of sticking with the handy selective color tool since I like it
It makes
so much.
so we're learning a tool here that we're going to be able to do a lot with.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is Photoshop.
So in this case, instead of the reds, I'm going to select neutrals. And I'm going to pull a little bit of the yellow out, a little bit of magenta out.
Okay. So you're bringing it more
See.
toward the white.
Exactly.
Could I not... Now, we already learned the curves tool tonight as well.
Mm-hmm.
Could we use that to say, okay, here I am in GIMP, and let's say I've got that selection. Now let's bring up the whites. No, that skews the color a lot, doesn't it?
Mhm, exactly.
So levels, on the other hand...
Is your brightness and contrast, unless there are ways to select just your RGB.
Mm-hmm. We learned
but
the
then
levels
that's
over
getting,
on Photoshop.
That's getting a little bit more into things.
Right.
And curves are
See,
very
that's
easy to
crazy.
overdo.
Okay, so show us how this is done. Yes.
It's so nice. So I'm just pulling out some of the magenta, some of the yellow, maybe a little bit of the cyan here. Just
Okay.
until they start looking. There, I kind of like that. Not overly white. When you make someone's teeth in a photo overly white, it looks unnatural.
It looks fake like what I did
Yeah.
there. But see, I could do the same thing over in GIMP. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
I could select each one that I want to bring down. Not going to take too much time here, just because we know that we've got the same tool. We've already established that, so that's awesome. Cool.
Good stuff.
Cool.
Oh, let's see what else we can do with Eric. Oh, I know what I want to do.
Is this helpful, Hill?
It is. I would just like to know how to make Eric look more Billy.
I think Eric has these nice brown eyes here, and I just want them to pop a little bit more.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm taking it's called the saturation tool, and it's in my palette here. And it's this little, sorry, not saturate, it's called the sponge tool. And what it's going to do is saturate. And I have it set up I can make our brush size a little bit bigger there. And you want it to be very soft. You don't want hard edges on it either. So I'm going to go about 9%. And this is set to saturate. You can also set to desaturate, and that takes the color out of a photo. But we want to just make the color that's already there just a little bit stronger. And I have the flow rate set to about 30%. So that just adjusts how strong, how much
Think of an
color it
airbrush
pulls.
painter.
Yeah, exactly.
So how highly
You want to
the
do
flow
it in
is.
small bits and not really
Right.
strong, or you're just going to end up with something awful. I'll just brush over his eyes just quickly here.
Look at that.
And it just made them brighten up just a little bit. You can also apply that whitening teeth strategy to the whites of his eyes if you wanted to select them.
Okay.
I think he's pretty good right now, so I'm going to leave him.
Cool.
Yeah, and I would like to make Eric look just a little bit younger. If we could do that.
All right, go for it.
Does anyone mind? All right, so I'm going to take my clone tool, which is in my palette again.
Okay.
And then it shows up as a brush size. So I want to put that as a brush size. Still a pretty soft brush. And then I want to set my opacity. And that's like your flow rate too. They're similar. To fairly low here. The point isn't to get rid of his smile lines. The point is to just make them a little bit softer. So I'm going to select somewhere close to where the areas that I want to be found. I'm just going to hold down my option. It shows where I'm selecting from and click. And Photoshop you see inside here, I'm going to move this around, that it's pulling that selection area around with me. So you can just, if there's heavy lines,
So can I show you something on the GIMP here?
No.
This is something,
Sure.
you may not have it in CS5, but in the later versions of Photoshop, you can pay more and get this. We have the healing tool.
Yes.
So, and I can actually use that. It looks like a little bandage thing. And if I zoom in on Eric, watch this. This is crazy. Because the clone tool, you're replicating stuff. You're replicating this cheek part and putting it over top of.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
why you use it at very diluted,
Right.
not 100%, or you're going to
So
end up with crazy things.
With this particular tool in the GIMP, GNU Image Manipulation Program, this is the free kind of image editor that we love. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold in my left control key and click. And what it does is it does a comparative, and it creates new textures based on what should be there, and is able to just do with a little bit of clicking. Oh, and I'm on your screen. Look at the sorry. So here I've clicked. Sorry, I was showing you the Photoshop screen. Here I am on GIMP with the healing brush. Oh, and I've messed it up now because I undid too much here. Let's just revert because I want to show you this. Okay. Oh, terrible demonstration. It was working just a moment ago. Okay, let me close out.
Sure.
I had the wrong screen open.
Sure it was.
Hill, you're going to love this on GIMP. I promise you that. Cool. Oh, sorry, your mic is off. There, okay, your mic is on. If there are any questions in the chat room, I'll just mention this is Category5 Technology TV, and Hillary is able to watch the chat room even though we've got full screen image editing going on our screens here. Feel free to name Hillary. Sorry, and I should close live TV as we do.
In this version, I don't. But yeah, you're correct in the newer versions. There are playgrounds that are so many, and you will never in your lifetime use them all. But the best way to learn is
Okay, so we're going to have to kill Hillary's mic there. Sorry. Okay. So, sorry about that, folks. Hopefully, has that been going on for a while? A little bit? Yeah. All right. Thanks, Al. You could have yelled at us. Okay.
We're just going.
Okay, so that's the healing tool, anyways. So, but I suppose we should jump into news. Hillary, I
Right.
now we can't hear you, right? But does that help? You get a little bit of information there.
I feel really good about that. I enjoyed those tips. The only other thing I'm so curious about, we could probably do a whole other show on it, is just like the different, I don't know what the word is, layers or filters, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like fluffy.
Filters and things.
Yeah, there's a ton you can do. And the best way, if you're curious, just go online, go on whatever your search engine that you want to use, and type in Photoshop tutorials, photo touch-ups, and there are hundreds of just great pointers out there too.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, a great way to learn.
Well, this is Category5 Technology TV. Hillary, we're happy to. You're going to be on the show again soon, and we'll be happy to go over some of the. I think about the Gaussian effects and adding a white layer, because when we're taking shots for a wedding, what do we typically do? Is add a white soft focus to the camera, so that you get a really nice kind of soft, almost a glow to the picture, and that can be done digitally as well. So that's kind of cool. So.
Always just takes a lot longer than you want it to.
Yes, of course. Okay, are you set?
Oh yeah, let's give her some news.
All right. Oh. We will.
Good stuff.
Promise you. I can start it. You can start it, and it'll just look
catch
like
up.
me. There you go. Hey.
Okay. Well, here are the stories from the Category5TV newsroom. A concept to embed facial recognition cameras into steering wheels to detect angry or upset drivers is being worked on by researchers. A team in Switzerland said irritated drivers could be more aggressive and less attentive, and therefore assessing emotional state could improve safety. Tests of the system show promising levels of accuracy, the team said, but one group representing the interests of drivers was not impressed. The researchers from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne said their system learned to identify two emotions, anger and disgust, on the face of its test subjects. Another use for the technology was said to be to detect driver fatigue by monitoring the percentage of eyelid closure. That's kind of cool.
Kind of creepy.
I said cool, you said creepy.
Well, I think they got the breathalyzers and everything. That makes
That's
sense.
true.
But I guess it's probably a good thing, because. But what would happen next? It's like, so does the car not start if you're angry?
Or
Really?
you need to calm down a little, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the fatigue
it starts with
view is a little more useful than
sense.
the anger one.
Sure. Yeah. If you're dozing off, you want the car to like give you like a little maybe it'd have like two
vibrators
contacts
or something.
on your back. Like, okay, I'm awake. Car.
Little shocks.
Yes, just a little bit, a little tase.
I think the fatigue thing's cool. But if you ever have a song on and you're singing really angry, what if it's
bring him home? Like you just get into it.
And
you
it
can't
just
help
thinks
it.
You're angry, but you're not.
I know.
This could be a problem.
It started with your door is ajar. Now it's like, settle down, sir.
That's not a bad thing. All right, well, we'll see.
All right.
Isn't it convenient that your employer can direct deposit your paycheck into your bank account? I think so. Surely the staff at Morrison Supermarkets felt that way until details of around 100,000 employees were stolen. The information, which includes bank account details, has since been published online and sent on a disc to a newspaper. Morrison said its initial investigation does not point to the work of an outside hacker. The supermarket chain is reassuring shoppers, saying there had been no loss of customer data, but that the majority of its staff have been affected by the theft of payroll data. That's kind of scary.
A little bit. Yeah, you think that this is convenient.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should just get your check, walk to the bank, and put it in.
Maybe. And then the banks.
And make sure you're happy on the way, or your car's not going to start.
See, it's amazing how you make it all roll together.
This ties in.
It's amazing.
Happens.
Yeah, you think though that you're safe with. You never think that your employer would have this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Stolen. And then
it happens. Just be careful, folks. A health watchdog is warning that thousands of people have been sent hoax emails suggesting they have cancer. The convincing messages appeared to come from the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence. It says the contents are likely be distressing and has reported the hoax to the police. It is not clear exactly how many people are affected, but based on the high numbers of calls to the organization, it is thought to be numbered in the thousands.
That is sad. A
Could
whole
you
new
imagine?
low. Yeah, really. I was looking at this, and they make it sound like it's coming from a health agency that
From
says,
NICE.
Yeah.
It's nice.
We have been sent a sample of your blood analysis for further research. During the complete blood count, we revealed the white blood cells are very low, and unfortunately we have a suspicion of cancer. We suggest that you bring in your CBC test results and interpretations in attachments below and visit your family doctor as soon as possible. This is just short and just like, holy cow. That'd make anyone's heart stop practically.
Yeah,
I
no
think.
kidding.
What's the motivation behind something like that?
I don't know.
Rhetorical question, but seriously?
Maybe it's set up by family doctors.
It's the people's family doctor.
I don't
just
know.
needs extra business.
Haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, dear me. Dear me.
Never know.
Never know.
All right. Well, imagine a world where new release movies still in the theater, and everything in between can be watched from a Netflix-like interface. This is a world that is upon us, but that the movie industry dreads, of course. Popcorn Time allows free access to movies by streaming content shared illegally as BitTorrent files. Its makers said they were closing the experimental service, but other developers have taken over. One analyst described the software as a nightmare scenario from the movie industry. The software, which launched last week, has been made open source and posted on a popular code-sharing website. This means that anyone is now free to use, adapt, and crucially host the software, making it more difficult to close down. It also means that while the original Popcorn Time makers decided to close the service at the end of last week, it has now essentially taken on a life of its own.
Wow.
Ooh.
That is a very cool idea. I think, though, the fact that they're using illegal torrents is obviously that's gray area and kind of sad that it's... But think about something like Category 5 or Revision 3 or Twit TV being able to use torrents to stream their shows to people. That would be amazing. Can you imagine? That would cut our costs exponentially. That's the whole idea of torrent. You're sharing the hosting. So as I'm watching it, it's also streaming to Christa, and as Christa's watching it, it's streaming over to Hillary, and it becomes this, what is the web? It's meant to be this interconnection of computers.
Right.
That could be used for some serious, serious good. Maybe the movie industry needs to step up and say, hey, here's a technology that we could be using, making
Just
money
realign
off of.
the focus a little.
Really?
Yeah.
Start doing things right for a change. This isn't 1986.
Exactly. Despite so many warnings from Microsoft and cybersecurity experts, Windows XP is still being used by a number of government organizations, financial institutions, as well as big corporations all around the world. If you stick with Windows XP after April 8th of 2014, you'll be at great risk as XP will take its last breath officially on this date. That fact poses a danger to its users as they will be exposed to all kinds of treats. It's hard to believe that around 95% of the 420,000 banks, ATMs in the USA, the country which is known for the world's largest national cybersecurity division, also runs on Windows XP. But after the deadline, if a serious security flaw or vulnerability is found in Windows XP, the banks on their own will defend against the increasingly high-tech cyber criminals. I'm having a hard time tonight. All is not lost for Microsoft. A spokesperson from the company told Reuters that there are certainly large enterprise customers who haven't finished their migrations yet and are purchasing custom support. It is estimated that for British banks alone, the cost of extending support for Windows XP would be around 50 to 60 million pounds, which is up to $100 million US.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're not minding. I can't believe that the bank machines are all still using XP.
Just update
95%?
What's the big
Just
deal?
update it. Sure. Replace 400,000 machines. It's going to be costly, but they're saying $100 million US dollars to extend support on a 13, 14-year-old operating system? That sounds
They
like...
should have thought about this before.
Well, they've been... Yeah. We all should have thought of
Just
this
saying.
before. Hello. Really, it just sounds like another Band-Aid approach. And we're getting a
There's
little
enough
sick
of
of
those,
hearing
yeah.
about Band-Aid approaches when it comes to Microsoft Windows. Honestly, it's too
They're
dangerous.
so good at
Too
it.
dangerous. And these are the bank machines that we're walking to deposit our
There
checks
is no safe way.
with a smile.
Direct
There's
deposit,
no safe way.
Walk-in deposit.
I'm not putting my money in a machine that runs Windows XP after April 8th.
Ask for your paychecks in cash and put it under your mattress. That's the only safe way.
Is that it?
I guess so.
All right.
Yeah, you guys can get the full stories at category5.tv/newsroom. Category5.tv newsroom is researched by Roy W. Nash with contributions by our community of viewers. If you have a news story you think is worthy of on-air mention, you can email us at category5.tv. From the Category5.tv newsroom, I'm Christa Wells.
Thanks, Krista. This is Category5 Technology TV. If you stuck with us through all the audio nonsense, yes, it's always fun when we try to introduce all this fun. We got a great setup, I think, Hill. But now we can't hear you because see the lapel that you're wearing. So this is the lapel microphone. Folks, we need another one of these headsets. So if you want to help us out, go buy some t-shirts. Honestly, that would help us out because I like the setup. I like being able to have two co-hosts here. I think our setup is pretty good. You'll be able to see pictures after the show to show you what we actually see. But we set up a nice little area for Hillary to sit in, and it's quite comfy. You got your own computer and chat room and all that stuff. But the microphone, unfortunately, had some serious difficulties. That's too bad.
Oh, well.
Sorry about that,
Next
folks.
time will be perfect.
Next time, I would like to say, as we are just about out of time, I'd like to say hello to some of our newly registered viewers. Maybe you can take it away as I bring up the map.
Sure. We have G-Man. Welcome. We
Welcome,
also
G-Man.
have Carl W. Campbell. Welcome, Carl W. Campbell.
Hey, yeah.
Adelaide GKM. Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
V7BBD.
Cool.
Welcome to you.
Nice to have you here.
And lastly, we have Sergio P.
Welcome, Sergio P.
Welcome.
And welcome to all of our viewers tonight, watching from Calgary, Alberta, Evansville, Lexington, with us Moscow as well, tuning into Category 5, Moncton and Amherst. Got a fair number of viewers along the San Francisco coast, and Chicago, in that area. Nice to have you joining us. Of course, Toronto, Southern Ontario, and the Northern United States. Plenty of people there. Kiev and Malaysia. Quite a few people watching tonight from Malaysia. That's pretty awesome. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, everybody. I hope that in spite of our audio difficulties that you were able to enjoy the show. Of course, catch us in the chat room afterward. It's Category 5 on Freenode. Next week, Erica Lalonde is going to be joining us. I'm going to be installing this really cool wall receptacle that in fact offers two, not one, but two
No way.
12.5 watt USB receptacles.
Oh, very
Right in
cool.
your wall. So you've got
Very
the plugs, and you've got the plugs right there. No adapters necessary,
Yeah.
no iPad charger or tablet charger, whatever devices you're using, your cell phone, plug directly into the USB port
That's so
on
handy.
the wall. So that's all the time that we have tonight, folks. Hillary, a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Krista, always nice to have you here.
Thanks.
Nice to see you. We'll see you next Tuesday night.
See you guys.
Night. Good night.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Category 5 TV broadcasts live from Barrie, Ontario, Canada every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching this on demand or through cable TV, check out the local show times in your area at category5.tv and find out when you can watch live and interact in the community chat room. Category 5 is a production of Prodigy Digital Solutions and is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 2.5 Canada. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.